Well, howdy there, Internet students. Mr. Hermson again. Today we're going to do lesson 7.1b. We're going to do a little bit more with slope today. Let's just kind of review that and find the slope. Okay. Now, remember that if a line is going in this direction, so as you go to the right, it's going up, that would be a positive slope. And if it's going this direction, so as you're going to the right, it's going down, that would be a negative. So just write those notes there. And then what you want to find two things to find the slope. You want to find the rise, which is a vertical line in between 2 points on the line. So the length of that line is the rise, and the length of that line would be the run. And then you write the ratio of rise over run for the slope. All right. Now, so line A, let's draw in a rise and a run there for between the 2 points on line A. The rise is right here, and the run is right there. Okay. Now, since it's in the direction of a line like this, it has a negative slope. So we're going to put negative for line A right here. Now, the other way we can just show that is put a negative in front of the ratio of rise over run. Okay. Now I need to count the distance from here to here. That's my rise. So that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. My rise is 10, and my run, we can see that one's 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so my slope is 10 over 4. If you can simplify that, you want to do that. And it's a negative slope. Now 10 over 4, both of those are divisible by 2. So we could simplify that to negative 5 over 2. All right, so use the lines I drew on graph B to find that slope. Now graph B was a positive slope. So, so you could just leave that as a positive number, and then we know it's a positive slope. Okay. Now to find the y-intercept, you've got to find the spot where it's crossing the y-axis. So to do that, you just look on the y-axis, which is this vertical axis right here. That's the y-axis. And then you want to find where the line crosses that axis. So my line A crosses it right at this point. I'll make it a green point right there. Okay. And that y-intercept, it's actually the point 0, 10. But what we're going to do is we're just going to take the second part of that and write that here, the 10. So the point, this point is 0, 10. We just want the second part. And we also would use the letter B to represent the y-intercept. Now, the way we would know it's proportional is if the y-intercept was 0. Since the y-intercept is not 0, we're going to say it's not proportional. Okay, you go ahead and find the y-intercept for graph B and decide whether or not you think that's proportional. All right, that point is right there. And that point is 2. All right. You should be able to do these. Go ahead and do the rest of them, and then you can check back and see if you got the right answer. All right, here's what I got. You might have wrote 4 over 1 for your slope here, which totally makes sense. We went up 4 and over 1. But 4 over 1, remember, is just the whole number 4. So, and for C, the rise is 2, the run is 4. you might have simplified that to 1/2. And since it's in a negative direction, we just put negative 1/2 for that. The y-intercepts are right here. For C, it's -6. For D, it's 0. When the y-intercept is 0, that will be a proportional relationship. Okay? All right, for this one, you are gonna, I'll do the first couple for you. You are gonna place a dot at the y-intercept and label the dot with the graph's letter. And then you're gonna use the slope to graph each line. So it works like this. So for graph E, we're gonna use this information. Our y-intercept is 10 and our slope is -5/2. Okay? So, and you guys, we can already answer this proportional thing. It's a no because the y-intercept is not 0. Okay? But let's go ahead and graph that. So we want a y-intercept of 10. Let's start there. That's right here. Y-intercept of 10. Okay. This is graph E. So I'm going to put letter E there. All right. Now I'm going to do a slope of -5/2. Okay. So I need to, my vertical line needs to be 5. And my horizontal line needs to be 2. So there's my 5. And I'm going to go this way because I want this dot to show a negative graph because it's -5/2. So yeah, I can put another dot here. Now once you know that pattern, you could go down 5 and over 2 again and again, and you can keep doing that. But our goal is to get a few dots so that we can go ahead and draw the line in there. And you could see that you could keep making lines like this so it would continue. So I think I'll make this line orange, but that line would look like that. All right, I'll do one more with you and then you can try the last two on your own. So the next line is graph F. We want a slope of 3/1. Remember that's the same as 3. And a y-intercept of -17. That is not going to be proportional because the y-intercept isn't 0. But -17 is right there on the graph. Put a dot there. For the y-intercept, this is graph F, so we'll label that F. And now we're going to use a slope of 3/1. So that means I need to have my vertical line be 3, my rise is 3, and my horizontal line is 1. So 3/1. And then there'd be another dot there. And then I could go up 3/1 again, up 3/1 again, and so on. So I'm getting a few dots. That should be enough for me to draw the line. I think I'll change the color of my line here. And that would continue. Something like that. Okay, so that is graph F. Go ahead, you do G and H. Answer first whether it's proportional or not. It'll be proportional if the y-intercept is 0. All right. So line G starts at 16. You can see where my letter is here. And since the slope was -5, to make that a ratio, you just put it over 1. You didn't know that. And so from 16, we go down 5/1. That puts us there. Down 5/1 goes there. So make sure your line is in a negative direction. Okay. And then for graph H, that's this purple one. It goes through 0, 0, the origin. And the slope of that one is 4, which means up 4/1. All right, and that one is proportional because the y-intercept is 0. All right, so what if we have a table? How do we figure out this stuff from a table, what the slope is? Well, whatever the output is, that will be your y variable, your change in y, or your rise. Let's just write that here. Your output is going to be your rise, and your change in input will be your run. So what you want to do is just look at what's going on with your output. Notice these are going up by 3 every time, so that means your rise is 3. These are going up by 1. That means your run is 1. So our slope is 3 over 1, which equals 3. And your y-intercept, that is right in the middle of the graph where x equals, or your input equals 0. We might want to put x and y here. Input is x, y is output. Okay, so our y-intercept is 0 on this one, so yes, this is proportional. Now, the way you tell if it's positive or negative is by these numbers here, your rise and run. If these numbers were going down by 3 as these went up by 1, you would have a positive negative divided by a positive, which is a negative. So in this case, since they're both positive, it's positive. Okay? So now on these, you'll notice these are going down by 2 every time. That's your rise. Okay, so I'm going to write -2, and these are 1. So my ratio is a negative ratio because I'm going down 2, up 1. 1 is negative, 1 is a positive. Remember, you can write that as just -2 because -2 divided by 1 is -2. Your y-intercept is where x is 0, which is right here, and the output of that, which is 10. That y-intercept would have to be 0 for it to be proportional, so we're going to say no. Okay, and this is a negative correlation. All right, why don't you try these 3, and you can check back, see if you got the right answers. You probably got a little stumped here because there is no input of 0, so finding the y-intercept was kind of tough. But this is 4, this is 2. That's any of these are your rise over your run. And all these ratios are equal to 2 over 1, which just equals 2. Okay, now your y-intercept, we're going to go back. So we need this number here to be 0. So if we go back 2, and then we're going to go back 1, and then we're going to go back 0, then we got the y-intercept. Okay, so when this went up 1, this went up 2, so if I go backwards, it's going to go down 2 each time. X goes back 1, so we end up at 0. Okay. The other way you can tell it's proportional is because if you divide the input by the output, you always get the same number. Or the output divided by the input, you always get 2. 18 divided by 9 is 2. 20 divided by 10 is 2. 22 divided by 11 is 2. So this is definitely proportional. And the y-intercept is 0. Okay. All right. Now I'll let you try one here. All right, so you should have noticed these are going up by 1, so your rise is 1, and these are going up by 2, your run is 2. Since they're both positive, the correlation is positive, and the y-intercept we can see is 0, which makes it proportional, and the slope is 1 over 2. Okay. On the bottom graph, you probably noticed that when this went up by 1, this went up by 5. When this went up by 2, this went up by 10. So the slope is 5 over 1 or 10 over 2, which equals 5. Okay, and to find the y-intercept on this one, you're going to have to go back a couple. So I just put 1 and 0 in here, and I made sure the pattern was the same. Since you would add 5 to 9 to get 14, to go back to this number, you would subtract 5 from 9, which makes it 4, and 4 minus 5 is negative 1. All right. The last thing is, can you fill in a table? Okay, and I'm going to help you with that. So we're told that we're going to find some points for a situation that has a slope equal to 5 and a y-intercept equal to 3. The y-intercept tells you this number right here. So as soon as you know the y-intercept is 3, where the input, which is x, is 0, y will be 3. Output will be 3. Now slope of 5 means, remember that's 5 over 1. So that means when your input goes up by 1, which these do, your output has to go up by 5. So we're going to add 5 every time here. So 8 plus 5 is 13, plus 5 is 18, and so on. And is this proportional? No, because it doesn't start at 0, 0. And when you divide these numbers out, they don't equal each other when you divide the output by the input. All right. So in this one, the y-intercept is 0, so we're going to start at 0. The slope is negative 3, which means when x goes up by 1, which it does, y needs to go down by 3. So 0 minus 3 is negative 3. Minus 3 is negative 6, and so on. And yes, that's proportional. If you divide these numbers, you'll always get the same thing. Negative 15 divided by 5 is negative 3. So yeah. All right. On this one, your slope is, your y-intercept is 0. Your slope is 1/2, which means the rise is 1, which is your output, or y. So these have to go up by 1 when these go up by 2, which they do. So notice this is 1/2 each time, 1 over 2, when you look at how they're going up. Okay, that's a positive because they're both going up. And is it proportional? Yeah, it is, because it starts at 0, 0. Every ratio equals 1/2. All right. I will let you do the last two, see how you do, and you can check back and see how you did. Boy, those two were a little tricky, huh? Because, like doing the y-intercept here, you don't have a 0 in this table, so you would have to create that. And then put your 20 there. And then the slope is negative 2 over 1, so these are all going up by 1, which is good. That's your run, and your rise would be going down by 2. So this would be negative 22, negative 24, negative 26, negative 28, negative 30, and so on. All right, on the last one, it says the slope is negative 10, the y-intercept is 0. You know, that tells you that it's proportional, which means these ratios are always going to equal the same number as your slope. So if you would figure out what number divided by 2 equals negative 10, which is negative 20, what number divided by 3 equals negative 10, which is negative 30, and so on. If you want to complete the table and go down to the 0, 0, it would look like this. 1, negative 10, and so on. All right, so go ahead and summarize what you learned. And try to do the practice problems, and if you need some help, let me know. Talk to you soon.